Oh.
Ray, how do you relate to pride?
It, it's a thing. It's not my best friend. It's not my worst enemy. It's a different. There's. I, right now, all I can think of is two orientation. One, pride is a black hole thing. Look at me. Another one is pride is like I have a hell of a set of skills. So I think that it's still pride. It's just what's it in service for. I mean, all this stuff is like it's like a gun. A gun can be used for bad or it can be used for good.
So all the seven deadly sins, or anything that you see as a thing, can be used for bad or for good. That they're
Oh,
just
for God's sakes. The seven deadly sins are put out by a bunch of atomasculine alpha types who want to keep people subjugated.
strong frame. I see
Yeah,
where you're coming from on this.
I mean, why, why would any of those things be a bad thing given certain circumstances?
Right.
You're falling into the trap that it's the thing and not the intention.
Okay. One of your latest messages to me was, now we have to get you used to groups and you'll be all ready.
Yep.
What do you mean by get used to groups?
So that you can dance around in them and be more naked than not.
Be more naked than not. When I
Yeah, I
dance,
mean, yes. You can go to a group of your Palo Alto, bubblehead guys, and you can do the bubblehead dance, and that's real good. Not a lot of threat to you there. You know how to do it. But if we put you in a ecstatic dance container, and if we tell them the first one that gets naughty with you will make $500, you're going to lose your shit. So how is it that
get
you
comfortable
are?
with groups means having me not lose my shit if people have a bounty to get naughty with me.
Yes. So that you're okay, given and again, we're not talking about the things that are 6 or 7 standard deviations out there. It's what are the ways that you could be in groups that you could dance better, that you could lift heavier weights for your character, that you could do more complicated moves, that you wouldn't get triggered.
And you have pointers that imply that I'm not comfortable with groups in within some standard deviations of behavior.
That's just an assumption, prejudice on my part.
I shared with you some of the things that were going on in my life, and that's still what came up for you.
Yeah.
Are there characters that you see out in like more pop culture or some other references that I could investigate that would have character archetypes that are closer to mine that would be of service where I could deliberately practice or like try on more?
Yeah, the guy in the Fight Club.
Main guy in Fight Club, Brad Pitt.
Yep, the hallucination.
the main traits of this guy were unabashed ownership of everything.
Probably.
It was pretty
So that's,
leadership, right?
yep, that's too much for you to handle. So now you have to, you can write down a piece of paper things, and you can, the right hand, what are the ones I'm okay with? Then we can ignore those. What are the things that I'm not okay with? What are the things that make me curl up and want to die?
Okay. I've been getting a lot from the frame around figuring out from scale from 1 to 10, how I can have more nuanced takes on different things whenever I'm getting in black and white thinking or feel blown out by something.
Yeah.
80-20 is just on maybe 2 or 3 gears between.
Are you going to Minnesota or Chicago or wherever it is?
I'm going to Canada.
Oh, good. For the 10-year anniversary?
Yep.
That's a great one. That is, so now you're going to go dance with a cat for X amount of days.
Mhm.
Ask for her help.
Yeah. She was really good at like reading implicit cries for help. And yes, I
Well,
have asked certainly for help for a lot of other things in that realm. Yeah, how do you relate to like spending quality time with previous romantic partners? How could that be good fuel for like a fertile playground to explore?
Take it as deep as you can.
Take it as deep as I can.
Yeah. I mean, if she's like, we can't share sodas, then fine. That's a boundary that she's not comfortable sharing. But otherwise, this is a person who you were quite intimate with. She's not going to kill you. She's not going to, how do you push the boundaries of what's easy for you? What philosophically, what are the things? I mean, just keep it in the realm of talk, and pouring water on yourself.
Yep, I'm feeling very intense around this. I want to write some things down that you're saying. I'm going to move my keyboard here. Okay.
So philosophically, okay, the old Alton 1.0 is going to say something like, with an ex-partner like Kat, these are the things you don't ever talk about. Shoe size, how much money you're making now that she's gone, how many girlfriends you've had, whatever they are. And so ask yourself, in this new version of you, what is there that you wouldn't talk to Kat about? I don't think anything. And so if there's nothing that you can't talk to Kat about, then what do you want to talk to Kat about? What is her field of expertise? How can talking with her about certain things be weightlifting for yourself in terms of things that you don't usually talk about? And two, that she could give you a particular kind of insight or orientation around or something. What don't you ask her about her life? So, did you have any better lovers than me? Not usually a topic for conversation, but in your new orientation, why not?
Beautiful. Those are great questions. How did you generate those so I can generate those? I just ask ChatGPT, what do you not talk with the extras about? And then you just list them all out.
So you can probably prompt ChatGPT as see if it can do a movie review or popular culture, and just ask it, according to movies from the 70s or movies from the 80s or whatever it is, what are the things that you're supposed to talk to your ex about? And what are the things you're not supposed to talk to your ex about?
Past arguments or disputes, comparisons to current relationships, deep emotional confessions. Wow, it's
there you go.
Yeah, you're right. Financial details is on here. Critiques of their life choices. Oh man, that's hilarious. Intimate details about your current relationships. Plans about the future together. Insensitive family matters. Oh, that's sweet. Ah. Hmm. And it's in service of what I believe that she may have unique comparative advantage in sharing more.
If she was a brilliant coder and you sucked at coding, you might want to bring her some of the more difficult coding problems you're working. If she's really good at motor, repairing cars, you talk to her about your car.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, the new agey thing is what do you talk about so that you burn more brightly individually, and then as a unit.
Hmm. What is an example of that? Like, what do we talk about such that we burn more brightly? Because the other one seemed in service of that.
Then you talk about vulnerability. You talk about things that didn't work. You talk about things that you wish could have worked. You talk about how you think they've changed, about how you've changed. Talk about your parents getting older. It's a monocultural definition of what burning brighter looks like. Maybe getting drunk enough to where you puke on each other will be a great thing for you both. I don't know. There are guys in the Navy who that was the greatest. That's a marker of a really great night when you puke on each other.
Uh-huh. Altered states with her parents. That's thanks.
Hmm.
Rich,
Hmm. Hmm.
as things are picking up now with other facilitators coming through and other people like now independently generating things, Damien was here yesterday. He helped me get present to how I'm like the MC where I host a space where the things happen wherever I go, basically. And people based on my name know that they can just show up and good things will happen around me, whether it's coming to an event that I'm emceeing or like bringing together the main facilitators for it, or the facilitators themselves getting a great receptive audience. How can I orient towards that more
You're already
effectively?
making it happen.
Yeah.
I don't understand your question.
How can I make it more easy for more people to like? What am I asking? I'm asking how
So
do
these
I?
are two. There are two different things. You're trying to get them to notice you so that they come into the first room of your building.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
the funnel.
that's number one.
Mhm.
Okay. Number two, a certain number of those people are going to somehow get vetted, and you're going to see if they would. You're going to figure out how to get them in the back room.
Yeah.
So those are two different things. And if the back room is going to be spicy or nasty or hard or whatever, you really want to front load that. And you make it quite clear. Not everybody gets to go to the back room.
Yeah, I was talking with a well-known community organizer in this space, and he said that a lot of community building is a nice way of saying selectively excluding people.
Yes. It's a club.
Okay, well, and you also distinguish a lot when we were building out Skyway. The club is more like you pay to get in, and now you've got like membership. But like it's very distinct from a community that's like when your friend is sick in the community, then you like take time off work to like be with them and make them soup. I don't know if you use that example, but
It's I don't think that any of you people know what community is about. I think that you're all you all want really nice clubs, and part of most of your people's orientation towards clubs is that you're nice for each other, especially when this shit hits the fan. You know, God knows, you know, it's very it's not when any kind of shit hits the fan, but anyhow. So just build out a good club. Build it out. The outside is nice. People want to come in. They've heard good things about it. Let them come in. Let them have a good time. Let them do the things that make them feel good. And sooner or later, you're going to say, "Hey, we have a back room. And there's some interesting stuff going on back there. I think you might like it." Or you can have people talk about the back room.
Those are front room, what is it, back room? Okay. Different ways we can like. What's the secret handshake, or what is our?
You have to figure out what your metrics are.
Mostly like pro-sociality bids that are pro-social.
Yeah, but it's a very different pro-social in North Korea and Russia and the United States. Those are three very different metrics of what it is to be pro-social.
Yeah. Hmm. Do you know any particular characters that have been historically, archetypically very pro-social?
In my world, though. Sure. Just Alton. Jane's doing something.
Gonna go work out. Hi, Alton.
Okay.
Hey, Jane.
Tell him I'm enjoying listening to that guy. I'm really enjoying listening to that guy.
She's really enjoying listening to that guy.
Alex Jew. Yes.
Yeah, super theoretical. Holy crap.
Super theoretical. Holy crap.
I'm learning a lot. I'm wondering if the second half gets more practical.
Does it ever get practical?
Is it
He's
ever
looking around.
practical? I would say.
No.
But it's gorgeous. And the guy he talks about that he interviews, that guy Chris, holy crap.
Chris, she's also very impressed with Chris.
I think the guy's name is Chris. All right, I'm gonna go work out.
Okay. Have fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, so sweet. Yeah, I'm very interested in your thoughts as well. Alex's work has been very impactful for me. He's the person who made it possible to do the event we did in Peru. I have it that his work, if proliferated through world leaders, would shift significantly in very meaningful ways what's possible for our trajectory as humanity.
Gee, great hypothesis.
How do you have it that a bunch of people seemingly independently invented God?
I don't know how this is happening. Let's create a big authority figure in the sky, and we will all reenact our childhood trauma, and we'll figure out what it is to have him love us. And he'll tell us. He'll tell us exactly how to be good little boys and girls. You know, just because you're having a mystical experience doesn't mean that it's real. Just because you hear, goblins in the closet doesn't mean they're real.
What do you see as like the coherent positive vision for the future and the lack of like realness?
that we are not our histories, that we're not our monoculture, that we have to find some other way of making choices.
Yeah. So what would you say is like the towards frame, or what it is the thing that we are moving, that we do,
We're towards multiculturalism. We're moving towards not being self-identified with our histories or our primal character.
And
Once
how
you,
does
once
how
you,
does that relate when there's like scarce resources?
there are always resources by definition are scarce. What are you talking about?
Yeah, like I guess like how does that interface with violence or population control?
Those are human things.
So from a multiculturalism lens, like how does the world concretely look different if we wave a magic wand and 2 years from now we have all embraced multiculturalism?
I don't know. It's like you're talking about going from 3D to 4D or 2D to 3D. For a 2D person to try to imagine what 3D is really way, way out there.
Yeah.
You know, if you look around you at the way the decisions are made around you, the people around you, you'll see a bunch of people who are almost completely self-identified with their primal characters, and they believe that loud thoughts or feelings or emotions need to be acted on. They don't have to be. You don't. I mean, I was talking to somebody else, and oh, we're having fights. I'm like, okay, fine. What's the adult reason to have fights?
To see where people's values are and to test their mettle.
Why don't you just ask them?
Because it's easy to talk the talk.
So you're going to get into fights with people, you, Alton, who this happens all the time, to figure out where people's leanings are in what?
Yeah, almost anything to see how much
Okay.
are actually convicted for towards their beliefs. If I push
Oh,
back,
good.
like you
So-
say that it's full, that's like it's full of it, or that it doesn't actually land, to see how
Next.
much they backtrack or flinch, or if they stand in their certainty about it.
Okay, next time Sophia says that she loves you, hit her foot with a hammer. And then ask her, do you still love me? Underneath all that anger and all that pain right now, do you still love me? What's the point?
I'm already doing that with how we're in a dynamic now that it seems like we're like really seeing a. I mean, the revealed result is we still spend time in the same room together, but it doesn't occur. It seems like there's a smaller and smaller portfolio of engagements with Sophia that both of us would say, "Oh, that went really well," and I'm glad to enjoy the time with this person. But the revealed result is that we still are spending a lot of time with, which is troubling to me. But I say
Why
it's
is it
troubling.
troubling
The result
to you?
is still keeps happening.
Why is it troubling to you?
There's a point at which I'm like, okay, maybe the weight is too heavy, and that I don't want to dance with this particular dynamic anymore, and I don't know where that
You can't.
stop loss point is.
Yeah, you can't.
Right. So that's why it's troubling. I mean, it's just uncertainty is expensive on a nervous system when I want a primary relationship where there is a sense of certainty and co-commitment to creating something concrete. And when I have offered that availability and it occurs to me that she's like in a different stage of life, that's challenging for sure.
Then why not cut your losses?
That's what I'm more and more leaning towards and saying, maybe there's some scraps of something that can be like forged here or made more workable, but that's where the leaning is right now, for sure. It doesn't occur to me there's willingness on her side, for sure. And so I don't, I think, yeah, I mean, you were pretty clear last week. It seemed like you were really committed, or it occurred to me that you were really clear about something and you presented something, and it did not occur to me that there's any form of like receptivity or willingness. And that was really helpful for me to see how she's not
Okay,
available.
so before you have to start chewing on that foot that's in your mouth, you have no idea about what's happening inside her. You don't know whether she's willing. You know nothing about what's happening on the outside. All you can do is point to evidence.
Yeah, I can point to the bids and offers that I have made and the
Yep.
time to respond and the like acceptance or declination rate of those is at an all-time low. And
Yeah,
that ratio it's not engaging for me. It's not something I want to choose to have in my like portfolio of interactions.
understandable. That's not the way multicultural. That's not the way monoculturals believe it. If you love me, you should put up with all kinds of shit. Because you love me, I am allowed to bring my shit to the table and fling it all over the place. Very typical thing. I get to behave badly because you say you love me and you love all parts of me. Therefore, I can be my ugly parts.
Yeah, I think I'm moving a lot of from place of compassion and getting that she doesn't have other like available options in the Bay Area now, and I feel lenient towards imagining the roles were reversed, but I think at this point it could also just be harmful for both parties to tolerate what seems like a very divergent attitude of workability for me.
Speak about yourself. You have no idea what's workable or isn't workable.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's just her receptivity levels are lower than what's workable for me.
Right. There you go. I think something like this is going to show up in how people relate. Is that people are going to be very clear. This isn't going to work for me. You're a wonderful person. La la la. This is all about me. I don't want to work on it. I just don't want sushi showing up every day. All right. That's it. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, heartbreaking. Thank you.
No, it's not. Stop it. Is it
You're telling me
heartbreaking
that
that
you
you?
don't feel heartbroken.
No, I think that you're pulling your leg. You go into a place and you have a dance. The dance didn't work out. And now you're going to choose another partner. I mean, why isn't that a cause for joy? You sound like the Christians, who are beating their breast that somebody's died. I'm like, that person is now with God. This is what you're all working for. Why are you sad that they're dead? This is the best thing that could happen to them.
Relationship completions could be more oriented towards like celebrations of some
Yep.
graduate
Thank you very
next
much.
level, and we're complete.
Well,
And we're
I would be very careful about that next level crap. 'Cause people, if you're breaking up with them, I'm going to the next level. You're implying that you're better than they are.
well, we're both okay. Okay.
I'm going for whatever's next. I don't know what's going to show up. Thank you very much. I had a great time with you. Learned a lot, and I just don't want to do this dance anymore. It's okay. I cannot want to dance with you.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, really troubling when I make up. Or when I have a story that somebody's unreceptive or is running avoidant patterns, how do I use ownership around that? I just say I have a story that.
This is what I see happening. I see me asking you to be here within this 10-minute window. You agreeing to do that, and you're not doing it. You show up 30 minutes late. You
Yeah.
point to the evidence.
Yeah.
You can infer. I mean, she could be doing it because she's forgetful. She can be doing it because she hates you. She can be doing it because she's testing you. There's a million different reasons that she could be doing it. And all you're doing is that you're pointing to this thing and you're saying, this doesn't work for me. It's like me looking at your fingernails, Alton. If we were in a relationship, I would say, Alton, I've tried. I've really, really tried. Okay? Your fingernails freak the fuck out of me. I can't be in a relationship with you if your nails are like that. And you're like, but I like my nails like this. And I'm like, I'm okay with that. They're your nails. You can do them however you want. But you're saying either I cut my nails or leave the relationship. And you're like, yes, absolutely. That is exactly what I'm saying. But I don't want to cut my fingernails. Then I guess the relationship isn't as valuable to you as your fingernails. That's okay. You should accept me no matter what my fingernails look like. That's crap. I don't get what you don't get, that relationships are transactional. If it's costing you more than you're receiving, unless you're one of those, you should get out.
Yeah.
And you're the only one that can judge how much is, value positive and what's value negative.
How do I spoke with Luke Stokes, who was very supportive in this. How do I have a sense internally of like, is this just going to repeat in a future relationship thing? Or how can I know, basically?
The chances are, if you haven't worked on this, it will repeat itself.
I mean, in my
That's
world,
why
I've
they
worked
call it a pattern.
more than my fair share. I've taken too much on is my story from an inside view. But I imagine she would profess the same thing.
Yeah. Again, I don't care what she's saying. All I'm interested in is talking to you about what's going on now.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very, how do you deal or dance with the dynamic where this is a very common thing that both parties in a couple often think that they're putting in the majority, more than the majority of the effort.
So what?
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, are you saying you want me to do more stuff? That's a whole conversation.
Do you want to say hi? Great. I mean, we are live streaming it. Hi, Greta.
Hi. Long time no see. Actually, I saw you recently, but. Hello.
This is your room now.
Hello.
Well, if you wanted to stop by for any brief things, I'm shifting from heartbreak to celebration of what that could be like, and seeing what Frey's take is on all of this.
Celebration sounds fun.
Yeah.
I mean, heartbreak
That's
is good, but it's a little more bittersweet.
Yeah.
How much longer are you going to be?
We are on for the next hour and 20.
Cool. Are we allowed to come back?
And then, we're going to Chris's soon afterwards, or you are.
Okay.
But yeah, welcome you.
All right. I think I want to go to the rest of the house and then might come back.
Okay. Thanks.
What do you look confused about?
I feel wistful. I mean, there's always a part of me that's irritated that not everybody is just like the narcissistic part of me that's like, why isn't everybody as excited about time with Cray? Don't they have things they want to look at too? And I feel
No, they don't.
stood up, or like, aren't we in it together, guys, about taking on this type of work? And
No,
like,
we are
things
not.
building out a multiculturalism movement. And I get there are many paths up the mountain.
There are many paths that don't involve the mountain at all.
What does that mean?
Some people don't care to go mountain climbing.
People don't.
They're going to be very content to spend their life in the marketplace, doing marketplace stuff and dying there. That's fine.
Doing marketplace stuff. What's marketplace stuff?
Muggle, ordinary.
Muggle stuff.
Most people don't want to burn. It's like Jane and Ryan and Scott are putting together this thing where one of the, this is me projecting my ass off. One of the things is that you get into places where you're disoriented. Most monocultures are firmly against disorientation. People want to follow their little tracks, their little habits.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. There's a lot of people that are willing to go into the underground with you. And of those people, you'll probably find some that are willing to go into insanely tight places underground. Most people won't.
Yeah.
But unless you expose a great deal of people to the easy underground, you'll probably never find anybody who wants to do the tight underground.
Yeah, thanks. So this is like a progressive funnel for my life.
Mm-hmm.
Man, okay, all right. Some more nuancing of like what that on-ramp looks like.
Yep. I had somebody tell me that my path is about taking your inner children and repeatedly throwing them off the cliff. And I said, that's pretty astute. Because that's, I mean, to me, that's fundamentally you have to de-self-identify with your primal character, and you know, throwing babies off of cliffs, internal children off of cliffs is a really easy way to do it.
You say that proudly? Is that what's in your voice?
Joy, happiness, wry humor, a little bit teasing. Popular culture wants you to take care of your inner children, be nice to them, give them all the things that they never had. And I'm like, they are recordings. Oh well.
Is there an archetype of some character that you have it that you're playing too?
Of course.
What would you?
The wild, crazy forest dweller.
Oh, cool! You do have that,
Yeah.
especially when your beard was all like,
Yeah.
oh. Cute. Oh, I could totally imagine that. Knocking on your little mossy door and then having you come out and you have a new keyboard.
Yeah. No, it's, oh my God. I'm trying, I have a hypothesis that it's the Bluetooth that's making my computer restart so often. And it seems to be working. And I found an old wired keyboard. One, it's a cheap piece of shit. And two, the letter J is stuck. So I may have to go out and spend $20 on a wired keyboard.
Great, you write such beautiful posts, and you're telling me that you have a janky keyboard that causes your computer to restart itself, or another one where the J is stuck?
Mm-hmm.
I almost feel like offended. I'm like, how can we get you better paintbrushes or something?
It's just a keyboard. I don't
It's
spend-
being used
I-
often should be optimized.
Yeah, your life is about optimization. I agree with you. You have a heroin addiction to optimization. Yes.
All right, I see what you're saying. And the alternative is satisficing what's here.
I'm just happy with a middle of the road. I just type with it. It's not like I'm composing, but I am going to have to replace my goddamn camera. It keeps doing that. It keeps flashing weird things.
Cool.
So, and I'm going to splurge. I'm going to get one of the ones that hangs down in the middle of the screen.
You're serious?
Yes. Why not?
So you put it in the middle of their forehead as you talk with your clients, and
Oh, I can ignore it. They can't see it.
you do spend a lot of Zoom time. I guess that could be.
Yep. I do optimize some things. I don't know. I spent $180 on the kitchen knife, which to me is insane. My grandfather never spent maybe a dime, quarter for it. He would get all of his knives at the thrift stores. And he would sharpen them until they disappeared. All of his paring knives used to be big chef knives, but he'd sharpen them over the course of decades.
Wow.
Gradually whittle them down.
Do you have, Tommy, do you have a sense of Daniel Schmachtenberger's work?
Who?
Daniel Schmachtenberger?
Schmassenberger? No.
I imagine Jane's very familiar with this. Very much
Probably.
like the third attractor. 4-second
Third
managed
attractor.
global existential risk without devolving into oppression
No.
or chaos.
Nope.
Do you have stances on like how we're gonna get to humane technology?
I don't even know what that means.
Maybe the result of like a new cultural enlightenment where there's enough people who graduate on the spiral dynamic spectrum such that they're not caught in the lower paradigms of like red or purple or.
And
It's
what are they
more
now
multicultural.
caught in?
Huh?
Oh, Jesus Christ. You're talking about Ken Wilber stuff.
Sure. John Beck and I think Carol Graves.
I don't know. I think that as long as you're coming from this place of self-identifying with your character and that your history is something that has you, I don't care how high you go.
I mean, it's like Keegan's models or stages. I don't think that you can self-identify like beyond a certain stage. It's you just see that everything is a system of systems, and that's just how reality pours through you.
Okay. That's your interpretation of Keegan's model? Okay.
One access it grants, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Reality pours through you. As if there was an option.
I have it that many don't experience reality as pouring through them, that they experience like stilted frames or
But
Like
that's the way
movies.
that reality pours through them
yeah.
in a stilted way.
Hmm.
Oh no. I'm numbing out on Alton speak. Oh no. It's the 1.5.
Uh,
What does that mean?
halfway between 2.0 and 1.0.
Oh,
No, it means he thought that was what's her name's evaluation of your shared intimacy.
oh wow.
Oh.
With swing, I'm just okay.
Um, hmm.
How are you doing, Josh? Does everybody love you? Everybody think you're safe? Gee,
Um,
that's not a good thing. Not for him.
Hmm.
In my world.
Do you want to start from a foundation of safety to like actually experience a greater form of danger?
Yeah, you know how long Josh has been playing this game? For him, safety is a null concept. Okay? He's trading off safety for popularity.
Those are trading off.
He creates safety so that he's popular.
I mean, I think that's an important game to play. Now that he's won it, how can we build another?
He's now eligible for the back room.
He's now or not?
He is.
Yeah, right. Okay, perfect. Oh, beautifully said. Yes. So
Send him in your place to Canada. Yeah, zowie. So theoretically, the front room is about stroking people's private face and letting them get titillated a bit with the superficial dark side. And the back room is where you actually start engaging with some of the practices. Most you'll start off with the way they think their dark side is at, which is usually quite different than what happened to them, is what the trauma points were.
mhm.
And you got to make it sellable. You have to say, why are we doing this? What is the benefit of this? It's not about what you're doing in the exercise. It's how you can walk through the rest of your life, supposedly.
Okay.
For a lot of feminines, they can say very powerful things. And a lot of them will have that little pleasant smile afterwards. It's a coping skill. Please pay attention to now that you've heard what I had to say, I'm going to try to down-regulate you by giving you a nice smile. It can be very effective. I agree. But do you want to still keep playing that game where every time that you see something powerful, you have to supposedly down-regulate them from their, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Asian culture. Yeah. She'll be done in about 5 minutes and then you can go. I'm not getting up twice. Yes, I'm talking to a chihuahua.
Yeah, I was wondering what I would get from your tone of voice. 'Cause I'm like, it just sounds like you're firmly communicating something, and giving it
Yes.
attention. or direction.
No, it's not gonna understand. It just hears I think Olaf hears the steadiness of the tone. Hmm. Oh, all right, all right. No, I know. I'm gonna let you out. I'm gonna let you out. Yes, I will. I will. There, run free. What's our problem? Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, well, I continue to have like a list of topics that are juicy for me on here, and I wanted to make space. Um, there's
Hey, Josh, I'm gonna meet with Craig this afternoon, and you're more than willing to come in. And because I think he has a lot of valuable insight, I'm gonna hog all of the time. So if you have anything that you wanna say, you're gonna have to fight me for time. If you're gonna sit back and just watch, I'm fine with that. I got work to do.
you. What generated those words, Craig?
Oh, I have a lot of things, but I want to be conscious of the time that, and maybe Josh is here and maybe he wants to say something. And maybe I just being the big, powerful energy suck that I am, I need to move out of the way such that poor little tiny Josh can actually have enough space to formulate and express an opinion. It's what you do best, Alton. You caretake people's smallness. And they think that's a good thing.
Okay, what's the inverse of this? Me saying that-
Josh, you're going to have to fight me for time. I get him for 2 hours a week. I don't give a shit what anybody else thinks about his cranky old ass. I find what he has to say valuable. And so if you want to speak to him or bring your shit to the table, then you're going to have to interrupt. Then you're going to have to make a conscious effort. Otherwise, I'm shutting you down.
I mean, I explicitly invited. Okay, yep, thank you. I'll just try that on next. That's okay.
You're inviting people to play a little bit bigger. Not to be so goddamn cautious. Oh, before I consider myself, I need to consider everybody else in the room first. Fuck that.
Ray, how do I differentiate?
Practice. Really? Seriously?
I'm applying that to the situation?
You can't know what's going on in their heads or their hearts or their gonads. You have no idea.
But within myself, I've been following pleasure more or attempting to. And it seems as though there's a different flavor between adult pleasure and inner kid pleasure.
And what would that be?
Inner kid pleasure seems to be like more high pitched, more like
No.
no.
High kids, I mean, you got to remember it's a wide range. Kids like pleasure, okay, stroking, neural activity. But when you're talking about relational pleasure, for the kid, it's about me. In an adult body, if you're following that pleasure, it's either to prove that you're a piece of shit or that you're not a piece of shit or that you're special or that you're not special. There's a grasping.
Okay.
You're like, wait a minute, I can't leave yet. She hasn't told me I'm great. And the adult is like, why do I care if she tells me I'm great? If Josh, slow down and see what the pleasure is about. given where you are, it's probably going to be about your nasty little son of a bitch. And that's fine. You have pleasure over dominating people. It's fine. That's a kid orientation. Now you can enjoy dominating people as an adult. Why not? But you're not doing it because it means anything about you. You just like doing it because you don't like to clean the dishes and you'd rather somebody else do it.
And that's the adult move.
The adult move is whatever it wants to do. The adult realizes that other people's opinions about them or judgments or whatever you want don't have anything to do with your intrinsic value.
Hmm.
The little kid thinks it does. Because when we were kids, our parents said, you're bad instead of what you did was bad. So right now, if you're doing something that brings somebody else pleasure, that means that it's about you. You're good. No, it means that you did something good. Usually you can feel the grasping. And it shows up, it can show up very differently about how that feels for you when you're like, I know better than reality. Grasping is going to be either it should be this way or it can't be this way.
An adult is more, I want it to be this way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Ding dong. Oh, Joking. Jesus. Okay, I gotta take my IQ pills. Oh. Hi.
Hey. Sorry, what, IQ pills?
Yes, I'm talking to Jochen. I have to be very smart and erudite.
Ooh. That's an interesting story.
Hmm.
Would you
It's
would you rather be
really
silly?
boring today.
Would you rather be silly?
You can't be silly. You're Norwegian.
No, I'm not. But it's that's
Same
also an
thing.
interesting story. I mean, would you like me to do animal voices or what's
Oh,
silly in your
Jesus Christ.
what's silly in your ballpark?
Your character is silly to me. So you're doing just fine.
And well, how is this boring? How could this ever be boring?
They're not asking intelligent questions. They're asking questions that if they spent 5 seconds asking themselves, they would find their own answers. Nothing complicated going on. No fire.
How long have you been
Coolness.
up? How long have you been up today, Craig?
12, 13, 14, 15 hours so far.
Oy, ay, 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 ay.
And I did a lot of physical labor, so my fuse is kind of short, but I'm maintaining. I only have 57 more minutes. It's boring because it's safe.
How do I break my character's addiction or proclivity to have safety first?
Now you see?
So what would right
No,
now,
don't,
Josh,
don't-
what would
don't.
be unsafe right now? Tell me one thing, take off your shirt, wear a wig, do something that you would normally not do. Anything. Anything at all. Okay. That's too little. That's too little. A bit more extravagant, something.
Gosh, what does your character get out of being safe?
Access.
It believes
Access. Like greater
To-
access to
yeah, to very low quality stuff in my world. Yes, you're right. You know, if you stumble across something high quality, you make sure to get rid of it really fast. And so what is it? What is it that your character thinks being dangerous will result in?
Exile.
Yes, and is that true from your adult perspective? You've seen me be dangerous in 1,000 different ways, and most of the time it doesn't shut it down. It opens it up.
That's confusing to my character.
Which, God, he's speaking French, and it seems to be working. Maybe no, don't even think about that. Don't even think about that. I'm like, what's going to happen if you practice speaking French? Of course, your kid's understanding of dangerous is you're probably going to walk up to some babe and poke her in the eye or poke her in the tit. You know? That doesn't show a lot of adult nuance about what dangerous is. For the kid, dangerous is the thing that's going to get me slapped. What does your adult think that dangerous is? Inviting people into non-normative spaces for non-normative dances. That's a good definition of dangerous. You're still operating with your kid's definition of what dangerous is.
Is that why I like to expose myself to supposedly dangerous circumstances so that it's like normalized, or
I don't know of you exposing yourself to dangerous situations, relationally or life wise.
You know, so you don't think I've taken any dangerous turns or risks relationally?
I've seen you get thrown out of a house. I've seen people eject themselves, neither one of which is dangerous to you.
Huh.
You always climb into your little silo and say, and all of us come to your monitoring screen and we're looking at the crazy one doing the crazy shit, and you don't know why it happened. Sit down with somebody and figure and say, okay, this is what dangerous means to my kids. I mean, unacceptable things are going to get me immediately rejected. There's got to be some other way. There's got to be spicy. I don't want to be dangerous anymore, but I want to be spicy. What does spicy mean?
Spicy is sort of like the PC edge of dangerous.
Depends how spicy you are. Yeah, you go drop a California Reaper in Sophia's, milkshake, and you see how quickly World War III can start. Yeah, go on by and give her right buttock cheek a little gentle pat and a little grab and see what happens. Yeah. It's just a buttock cheek, for God's sakes.
So you don't calculate risk reward when making spicy or dangerous moves?
All the time. But I do it a lot faster than you because I've had a lot more practice. Do I put the pepper in her drink or her scrambled eggs? I mean, I again, do not think that I was born this way. I have had so much bad shit happen to me. I have walked out of many a restaurant with red wine all over my shirt, okay? Completely ruining the shirt because I miscalculated. Yeah, lots of relationships have gone bye-bye because I miscalculated.
Is that a true thing? Are you saying this to comfort us?
I'm not saying it to comfort you. I'm just saying be prepared for it not to go right. I mean, you have to keep swinging. You have to keep swinging and you have to pay attention to what you're doing.
Is there a distinct advantage to doing it in the wild versus doing it in like an exercise container?
Yeah, if you're calibrated, and I mean, most people are like, yeah, I've tried this a couple of times, probably, I don't know, maybe 20 times, is to walk up to a woman and it's like, they seem a little bit edgy, they seem a little bit, a little fiery, and I've been known to ask, are you multi-orgasmic or is it just once?
And the result is blooming and or red wine.
I have never gotten red wine on that. And part of the how you hold it, Josh, is that you're not really betting on the outcome.
You're just curious?
You're curious, you're just trying a dance move. You're not trying to get them to go home with you.
Uh-huh.
If they do, that's great. And if they don't, that's okay too. It's like, how dare you ask that? Well, I'm not, why not get straight to the point? Why not get right into the intimacy pool? I can sit here and ask you about the Dodgers or what you think about the, Putin's, plan for invading Afghanistan again.
I have a sense that a lot of this behavior is normalized because a lot of people want to have kids, and it's important to have like long-term stability and risk profiles within a certain window for that to be acceptable to them. I make up that you don't have that risk profile, or a lot of people who follow your work don't necessarily want to have kids.
Alton, you're making about as much sense as saying people want a Lamborghini.
Yeah. And there's a certain bracket of behavior that results in you being the type of person who can afford a Lamborghini or a child. And I make up that what you seem to be advocating for is incredibly costly, would put you in a bracket of only being able to afford like a Prius or
If I were to take a guess, Alton, what I heard Cray describe is much more not thinking too much. There's very little analysis. I mean, to the extent that there is analysis, it's very intuitive and very, I don't know, a one-stop shop. It's not like, oh, here's like eight variables that I need to figure out, and then I have combined these two, and then this plus this is this and this whatever. It's just like, here's a woman, I see something interesting, and let me say something interesting, and see what happens next. And like this whole, oh yeah, maybe people want children or whatever, that's already way too complicated, maybe. If you get to that point where you have to think that way, it's probably already over.
The people that you want to have kids with are going to be really attracted to my kind of behavior. I'm agreeing with you that lots of monocultures are like, you're a dick. But then if they look past that, there's an incredible seed. Nothing bothers me. I'm not going to beat them. I'm not going to throw the kids out the window. If I agree to get married and have kids, then I'm going to stay until they're 18. That you can walk up to somebody and be 3 levels down immediately, that makes you a very safe person. If you're afraid I mean, again, this is just me and my generation. If you're afraid to tell a woman that you think she's attractive because she may not like you, I mean, that's a really low bar. That's just like, if you can't tell me that you find me attractive, that's too low a bar to want to be with you.
Continually said that we'll have to train our partners to have the desired behavior we'd like in life.
You can train them, you can ask them. You're gonna have to, in my world, Alton, is that you're gonna have to differentiate your, let's just call it your spreadsheet mania, okay? It works well for you. So you're going to cordon off a part of your life and say, in this part of my life, this is where the spreadsheet reigns supreme. And you have to show that you can dance in another place where it's more their style. If you say my way or the highway, that's great in a monoculture that believes in that, but where you're dancing, no, it's not going to work. People are going to want you to come over and adopt the costumes and the attitudes and the behaviors of their monoculture.
And at least I have a suspicion, Cray, that people want to find someone to be with who doesn't apply game theory, like where it's not like a calculus. It's really it's not a calculus.
It is.
Well, on
They
some
may
level
not
it
want it
is.
to be acknowledged. That's fine. Yeah.
It's let's say it's an intuitive one. It's just like a biologically more intuitive one, but not a symbolic one. If you have to think about it, it's really kind of. And part of it, I think, for me is if I meet someone where I have immediately the impression that is their operating system, they will always find a reason to bail out of almost anything. Because
Yeah,
that's what rational thinking is. It's just like it's justification for whatever you want.
Yes, you want romance. You want romanticism. You want there to be things that you believe that will stay true no matter what.
Something
Not
like
going to
that.
happen. Not going to happen when you start mixing monocultures. Because your mythologies may not be the same as Josh's, may not be the same as Alton's, may not be the same as mine.
Sure. But for me, dancing is not like applying a spreadsheet, including a multicultural one. Even if I have a translation matrix, it's no longer a dance at that point.
That's a fault of yours, not
It
the
is.
person who thinks that it
Of-
is. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And this is, I mean, as far as I can tell, it's not about finding the right monoculture. It's about how do we decrease the importance, but still have our own monocultures and still be in relationship.
And I can see that calibrating early on risk taking especially in a first conversation where the other person gets a very good intuitive sense of how far out of the window can they lean without falling out, and are they able to maybe catch me, or like, to do a couple of interesting moves.
Yep. No, Josh, I'm not going to crucify his use of intuition. He belongs to a subculture in which intuition, the right kind of intuition, is a higher form.
It's useful for me.
Yeah.
I've yet to encounter a situation where it's completely useless, at least.
Yeah, you're like born, you're like a person who listens to God, born again Christian.
Something
You-
maybe, yes.
Yeah. You listen to your intuition. These people listen to the still small voice inside. They're still looking to externalize an authority figure.
How can I point that out to people in a way that doesn't leave them as sore?
You can't. If you want to have a class about this topic, then invite them to the class. In the moment,
Yeah.
you're attacking one of their fundamental building blocks.
Yeah. I feel like slightly triggered when
Don't do it.
people refer to external circumstances as if they were at effect of them and they had no choice in the matter. And
Yep.
it becomes
Keep your mouth shut.
so my lips start to.
Yep.
It's very obvious. I will often have this loud, flinchy, like scrunchy face, and they'll be like, "What's going on?" And I'll be like,
You want to stop that. You want to practice. You want to practice not putting that face out there. Just nod. Say, oh, okay. And then
A lot
get
of
back to
people
the
will thank me
question.
afterwards, but a lot of people just get triggered and they think I'm like making fun of them or something, and I'm like,
Yep.
oh, I mean, I can't help it. I don't know how to. Or okay,
So,
well, that's me doing the same thing.
Alton,
Right, I'll stop. Thanks.
don't draw attention to how they make their decisions. Draw attention to their decisions. If Jochen is listening to the purple cow on Pluto, I don't care. I'm as interested in so the purple cow. You want a hamburger tonight? Okay, fine. I'll when I order, I'll order you a hamburger. That it's a purple cow telling you that, I'm not interested.
So just turn away. Be present with something else.
Be present with what they're not the methodology of how they make the decision, but the decision itself. Until you get to a place where you want to, where you have a bunch of people who are like, how do I make decisions?
Yeah.
Wow, I have to make decisions every single day. How do I do this? And then you can break it down into some people flip coins. Some people rely on external authority figures on the outside. Some people, look for the rules on the inside. That's a back room conversation.
Yep.
Yep. Alton's running out of juice.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely still with a lot of the initial frames around like, well, if it just doesn't work for you, then if people are willing, then you're leading a horse to water across many areas of my life, particularly in connection with a relationship where I can have a pattern where I'm like, hey, well, I'm available for these things. And they're like, well, and they like drag their feet and I'm like, I continue to put up with it. And I think that that's really costly. And I think that's going to have significant impacts on my life if I am more, I won't say strict with that, but like clear on how expensive that is for me. Noticing.
You find people who like to play there, it's going to be almost no cost. If you have romantics, who are trying to dance with you relationship wise, then it's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, I know I just have very high appetite to like learn and grow together along this dimension. And,
No, you don't.
oh, okay.
You profess to have a high desire to do this along a certain axis, and you have yet to see whether this is in fact true because you haven't sourced anybody who wants to do it with you. So right now you're talking about loving a Ferrari, but you have a Hyundai in the driveway. She's gonna love that. Jesus Christ. She's gonna crucify me for that.
Yeah, I notice I feel bitter and I have low confidence that that she's like interested in watching these two at this point. I mean, I feel resigned, I think, and it feels bad. Or like it's helpful for me to get present to this. I don't think I've really admitted this as deeply. The past couple days have definitely.
Great, you have a bunch of emotions going on, so what? I really feel like I want to kill my baby right now. So
Well,
why
I
do
think
you
I've
why
been
do you
delaying taking
report
stronger
your
action because I don't want to like take actions out of like anger or out of what could be passing weather patterns.
oh good, I'm going to take actions out of equanimity. It's all bullshit. Who cares?
I think there's some merit to having some like refractory period between like having strong emotions and like making big life choices that will affect the trajectory of someone's life. And fine,
Good. Let me know how that works out.
I'm doing it now. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying you're reporting a lot of emotions. And I'm like pointing at it and saying, in your subculture, in your monoculture, it seems that reporting negative emotions has something to do with whether you stay in a relationship or not. Now, if you look at history, there's quite a few people that have been in a relationship and have had negative emotions and see it through till they die.
Mm-hmm.
What makes yours so high and mighty that it should be followed?
I mean, I think your helpful frame is just why, if we're living based off of pleasure principle, why would you tolerate something that's not actually of service?
Because you think that the outcome is worth it.
Yeah, and I think both sides have been like trying to see if it was worth it. Oh, the grass is greener next week. The grass will probably be greener next week. Okay, probably next week, and then it's just the someday that never comes.
Yeah, it's Alton, if you want to base your relationship on whether you stay in a relationship or get out of a relationship based on a certain set of emotions, that's fine. That's how you want to create your life. It's just don't pretend that that's the right way to do it.
Yeah, well, okay, so the what so is that there's a set of agreements that we have agreed to follow, and then we haven't been following them. And I'm like, okay, well, so this isn't. We've already by default defaulted on this agreement.
Yeah, but there are plenty of people. I pledged never to have sex with another woman in my husband after I married you. And there have been plenty of people who've raised children, gotten old, and they've been fucking somebody else the whole time.
I want there to be something count onable here. There's some strong desire for some uncertainty. All right. Well, I see it's just some uncertainty addiction. Sure.
Yep. And not only is it surety addiction, it's your kind of surety, written contracts. There are plenty of people who say, we love each other. What more do we need? We don't need anything. We don't need anybody to tell us we're married. We love each other. That's all we need. And here comes Alton with this little, like, no, you must fill out the contract. That's the way a successful relationship is done, by filling out a contract, by having a time slot.
I actually don't know if that's true. I mean, did you start that way, Alton, or did I like that would have been a surprise to me.
That is a riffin. It's
Yeah, no, I
jazz.
appreciate
It's
the
not
caricature. It helps elucidate things, and I appreciate you naming that, Jochen. And I feel, yeah. So there's no criteria other than what I'm saying. What I'm hearing you say is emotions, which I orient towards is like coming and going, like weather patterns.
Yep. They do.
So
Exactly. Now, Alton, what you're seeing is all of these big, important things about relationship are straw men. They're not real. And they all get to come down. Some are going to be a little bit taller than the other ones. And now you get to look at this and say, oh my God, what do I want to decide on how do I quantify a successful relationship or the container for one. Versus a non.
Why are you advocating for quantifying it at all versus just?
Because it helps you delineate what's real for you rather than accepting the dictates of some internal authority figure. If you sit down and say, oh my God, look, this comes up all the time. And I wasn't even aware of it. That's why you delineate all this stuff, so it becomes more, supposedly. It's like I used to think that in my own life, I thought the most efficacious way to get from point A to point B was the shortest route. All right? And the right route. And after I was in relationship with Jane, I realized that getting from point A to point B, if I take my orientation to it and I fight that orientation, it's going to mess up my relationship.
So is it wise then to create shared reality early on, or?
I don't know if you should. All I know is that if we're driving someplace and I know where we're going, and she says, "Oh, you turn right here," I am much clearer about turning right than saying, "No, we turn left." I think it's better. Now, this messes with my whole idea. Because if I am reacting to what she thinks is right, even if it turns out to be wrong, what does she get to feel about? That I'm paying attention. That I'm willing to take a detour. That I'm willing not to be right. That I'm willing to follow her lead, even when I know it's wrong. Now, granted, if she was bleeding out, and we were on our way to the hospital, and she's like, "Turn right," I'm like, "No, we're going this way because this is the way to the hospital. I better be right." You guys, typically adolescent masculines fixate on the data points instead of the dance. The outcome is the most important thing. It's not.
And the dance is what's happening in them, or what's happening in you, or some combination of the two?
Both. One. I mean, this is me making stories up again. When Sophia's 20 minutes late, Alton already has an understanding, meaning making, da 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 da. He's already loaded, ready. She comes in and it's like, "Poosh." There's no dance.
Not as much, and I'm trying to relate it to some area that is like that. Maybe it's, but I think I have story making about lukewarmness about everything, and that's, I have stories that that kills a lot of community, everything related to community. Yeah, and now, so what's another way to dance with that? Just saying, oh, there's just, I mean, basically it's like, oh, I'm just not that into that attitude. I mean, how do this not want to offer like a performance improvement plan or something, or
Why is it wrong that she's lukewarm?
it's not wrong, it's just not what I'm into. I just don't, it's
Then don't
not
play with it.
right. But I mean, so I just say, all right, you didn't come to this optional voluntary community contribution time window, so you have 30 days to leave. That, I
Why
mean,
not?
it's clearly more nuanced than,
No, it doesn't have to be. You're breaking your agreements. You said you would be here. Part of the agreements is that you will attend these meetings. I don't really give a shit why you're not.
yeah,
That's on you.
okay, sure, yeah, there's some mixed things where a lot of it's just, okay, yeah, I thank you. Yeah, I think it's a ratio of that. Yeah. How do I know if I have like reasonable standards?
You have unreasonable standards.
Right. So that's why I'm like, well, so how much is am I?
I'm sure that there's a monoculture out there somewhere that buys into 95% of your operating framework. But they're not living in the houses that you're living in.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. It's pretty.
But at least I have somewhat, and maybe that's here my intuition could be completely off. Have this kind of weird notion that part of what made at least initially Sophia attractive is precisely the difference to your general operating system. Because I think if she was exactly like Alton Copy in female version, I don't think that would be nearly as interesting.
I experienced
Amazing
she was
hypothesis.
extremely interested in learning everything that I wanted to share with her initially, and that's totally a form of like heroin for me, or a form of deep resonance where I experience someone who's genuinely interested in learning, and then I see her applying it, and that's one of my greatest joys in life. And then over time, of course, I think there's going to be marginal returns curve for any novel stimuli, and then
And would you say it's possible that she had the same desire, expectation, and may not have made the same experience? She might have wanted you to learn something about her or from her, and that didn't happen so much.
I don't know. I don't think she's said anything like that. I think she's felt self-conscious about me being more motivated to engage with her centrally than intellectually in other ways. And I'm like, well, that's just not, that may just not be comparative advantage, and that's not very PC, but that's the current shape of the world. So yeah, that would say that's a crux of it.
Right. And I have to just admit, I probably either didn't get a couple of words that you said because I didn't fully understand what exactly the point was. If you don't mind repeating it.
It was sensitive, so I think I was couching it. People in the past have been upset that I've been primarily interested in engaging with them along axes that they didn't find coherent. They didn't want to be known for like being engaged with primarily sensually, because they also took pride in intellectual endeavors that they were known for. But I was like, I'm just not that interested in you engaging with you that way, because you're not actually more interesting than the alternative opportunity costs that I sacrificed by spending this time with you.
And yeah, you don't know how many women get really wet when he talks to them like that. It's amazing. Stains everywhere on all of his furniture. Just amazing.
Yeah, I think part of the issue might be, Alton, that we now live, including women, I think, somewhat in a men's world where like a lot of values of people are more, you know, like I at least imagine, since I'm now in my late 40s, that people who are a bit younger, I don't know exactly whether girls and women still grow up and have like a specific idea of a feminine ideal, because a lot of overall value seems to be, you know, like intellectual prowess and stuff of people. And if you tell a woman, I don't think you can compete with other people that I could talk to, probably not a lot of fun.
I like to think that the people who can dance with that and be humble enough to admit that they aren't going to bring a lot to the table there is far more interesting to me than the ones that pridefully are so self-consumed that they would take grievous offense to that statement.
And what if someone said, yeah, but I want to prove you, I want to prove it to you. Would you still say, I'm not interested, or would you at least give someone the chance?
I
or
mean,
like,
sure. I mean, I haven't, right? If we're even having that conversation that they want to prove something to me, an external person. I'm like, oh, it's probably not a dynamic. I mean,
And I'd be curious, like, if you can almost like dance, not so much with what they say, but like with the impulse to prove something to you, if you can dance with that.
sure. I have it that there are many people that would like, they experience it as jumping through hoops that I set up, which my towards frame is I want to share them opportunities to increase our shared reality.
Yeah, no, that's not exactly the kind of dance that I'm talking about. Because that's almost like giving in, right? If someone tells you, let me prove it, and you said, okay, here's the 3 hoops. That's not the kind of dance that I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. That is sometimes the dance I'm talking about. I say that then, yeah, I mean, here's some things I want to increase my shared reality with you, and I want to have interesting conversations around this topic. And they're like, oh, that's crunchy and hard. And I'm like, okay, well,
Because that might depend on the hoops that you hold up for people.
Yeah.
I can at least see that. Yeah, like
I don't know what we're addressing here. I guess my interest was to investigate alternative ways to evoke more of the life I want to live in connection with feminines that have prideful patterns around intellectual desires or pursuits that may not be how I see them, but I want to.
So how do you see them? Primarily as like sensual beings that are to be enjoyed sensually, and I'm trying to understand.
It seems it looks like my professed values are, or the revealed values are like a muse archetype, somebody that like evokes from me why I do all like the machine spreadsheeting all day.
And how do they do that? What is it that they
Like,
do to evoke that from you?
yesterday wrote a beautiful poem about me, or another one wrote this beautiful Facebook post about how I impacted her life and how I set her up for beautiful things that occurred in her life. And so those are like blooms or like flowers, and that fragrance is very yummy to me. Or when, again, initially with Sophia, when she was had high voracious appetite for learning what I was sharing with her and then implementing it in her life, and then seeing big breakthroughs in her family and in her job context. That's all music to me. And I get that over time that may diminish. And that's,
Yeah, I would at least say, like at some point, probably there is diminishing returns. If you can offer someone something that has a big impact in their life, it seems to me that would be weird to believe that you can keep that up for like 40 years.
yeah, versus just another source for another flavor, right? So, I mean, yeah, maybe I just need to admit for this stage of my life, I just want to rotate through a whole bunch of different people, and that's gonna be fine. And maybe have outsized impact, or maybe that'll have a fall off curve too for me.
If that is what you want, I don't know. Like the weird thing is the way that you just said it. It doesn't sound to me as though that is what you want. It's almost like you're trying to talk yourself into accepting that, but it's not what you want.
That's what the revealed preferences are. I mean, I profess to want like a lifelong partner group and a set of people who are able to keep up in this way and meet me here. But I just
revealed preference as like second prize, silver medal.
no, that's like what actually the results in the real in life. So if I look back at my history and I knew nothing about me other than just observing it as if it was written in a history book, then it seems like those are the relationships that this character Alton selects for.
And minus the thoughts that you're having as you're living your life. So you mean
Right.
just like, okay, if you just look at the actions and outcomes, you think the guy really just wants to.
Yeah, I also feel
Okay.
wary that typically this is a primary engagement with Cray, and I feel concerned that we're overly or like not including as much of a portfolio of engagement with Cray here. But I'm enjoying this again. Maybe this is like better fit for after the mainstream, but I'm cautious.
Yeah,
about
probably because I'm catching up on the last 4 years. So Crane knows all of this already. So it's old potatoes. Sorry.
It's not the subject material, it's how you're dancing with it.
Yeah, I can see it's not your style. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, totally see that. Um, if I'm curious, Alton, if you read a story about like, or you watch a movie and you get to see or hear what the person likely thinks and experiences on top of behaviors and outcomes, do you take anything from that, or is it just like irrelevant? Actions and outcomes is everything. Does it matter what the person
I
has
don't
in
know what
the
you're
intentions?
driving at. I guess I'm.
Oh, because yeah, if you think action and outcomes are everything, then I agree with your assessment. Then probably you want to change your life towards the serial muse relationship. But if you care about your own feelings, experiences, intentions, then probably not, or maybe not. So I don't know. I don't know what you care about.
I did it as a data point. I didn't say it's everything. So I'm confused why you're using so strong languaging around it. And I still
Because he's a romantic.
No, I'm trying to understand when you use the word revealed preference, is
I
that
see how
already
he's
a
disguising
commitment
it
to
when
that?
you're saying he's curious or he's interested in this, and
I'm curious, like the words revealed preference, what that means to you.
Okay, now I understand.
Jochen, if there was a little bomb attached to the back of your head and it exploded right now, I would be very entertained and engaged.
What
A
what
little bomb on the back of your head, and it exploded, and your brains went into the back wall and onto the camera. I would be thoroughly engaged.
Yeah, it would probably look pretty cool. If I had the visual effects, I would entertain you.
See, now that's an example of Josh not speaking his truth. That is his mentality taking a fiery emotion in his belly and making it political and making it safe and making it entertaining. This is what he does. He is watching what's happening between Jochen and Alton, and he is having a very strong emotional response to it. And what he does with his strong emotional responses is that he waters them down, he makes them intellectual, and he makes them entertaining and safe, because we all know that there's no bomb that's going to attach itself to the back of Jochen's head and explode. He's engaging in a bit of fantastical repartee so that he doesn't have to speak as to what's actually happening. Because in his world, if he actually spoke what was happening to him, bad things would happen.
I don't know if that's true. I mean,
Shut the fuck up, Jochen. You are just babbling mental bullshit. It's boring me. That's what you could have said.
Did you feel that way, Josh?
I thought you were more
That's a
engaged.
yes or a no question.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was helpful. And you
Why?
can
Why
definitely
is
say
this-
that, Josh, you can definitely say that to me.
He can't. That's the whole point.
Maybe
Just
next
like
time.
right now, we could say, Jochen, be in your emotions. Yeah, exactly.
I'm a bit confused, Cray, but that's okay.
Be in your emotions right now. Theoretically, it's possible. And
That-
usually when you're dancing with somebody, the theory doesn't have any traction. Josh has no practice. When he's presented with a masculine that he's feeling fiery stuff about, he's going to do what he did unless somebody stops him, slows him down, and says, "Would you like to try something different?" And his original part is, "Why would I want to do that? I'm going to look foolish. I'm going to get exiled. I'm going to get punished. People will know that I'm really not safe."
It's also not all that easy, Cray, to compete with you on one of these calls.
Well, why would you want to compete? Why wouldn't you want to learn?
I-
Why wouldn't you want to dance with?
Well, I think like at the moment I see 4 guys on the screen, I think some kind of competition behavior is probably like fairly normal.
Right?
And it's not easy to compete with you.
Masculines derive benefit from competing within a frame where there's a chance that they can win.
Yeah, there's no winning against you, Cray.
There's not. So then that dynamic doesn't happen. What's your other choice?
Exactly.
Ridicule or learn? I don't care. And so Josh was kind enough to offer up an example in real time of what everybody does. Whatever it is that they've put away as dangerous, this is what they do with it. Now, Alton's talking about the things that he likes in his life, blah, 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 blah. He hasn't sat down and looked at that and said, wait a minute. The roots of this happened when I was 6, 7, or 8. Why am I taking meaning making and orientations that I developed when I was under 10? Why am I bringing them into the present day? Why don't I reevaluate my meaning makings, especially the ones that I feel really strong about? That would require a lot of work, especially if you're asking other people how you show up.
So Craig, if I just treated people as if they were expendable, I imagine I would act less safe. Or
First of all, you're let's just call it dangerous, okay? Your dangerousness is tied up in that 6-year-old kid. So you have to prove to the 6-year-old kid that you can hold a container for his dangerousness. So you're going to want to get 3 or 4 people together and pay them enough so that they're willing to do 3 or 4 exercises with you, and you're going to be dangerous, according to the kid. And you may want to spend some time writing it out. What was dangerous to that kid? What do I remember? Call up your sister or your parents. Yeah. And you're going to say, okay, so I'm going to practice these things. Now, and exercise equipment, I want you to get pissed off at me. I want you to give my inner kid the nightmare. And I'm going to handle it. Because you want to develop a vocabulary and dance steps around spicy, Josh, not dangerous.
Uh-huh.
But right now you're trapped in your child's meaning making and response patterns to danger.
Right. There's only a few spices that are acceptable, and then I use them or am playing.
Right. Now, what you did with Jochen, that was a thing. Okay? It got you a dance move, it got you something, it exposed a little bit about, yeah, I'd really like to see your brains explode. And then what that would mean for the rest of you, yeah, I'd like that too. You know, that's a pretty, I mean, if you look at that and you're saying, you would feel happy if I died. You would be happy if somebody put a bomb on the back of my head and I exploded and died, that's pretty fucking dark.
Uh-huh.
But nobody stops. They just go along with the laughter.
Mm.
Now, I think you could have had a much more interesting interaction with Jochen, coming up with bringing some of that fire and making it about you instead of making it about him.
Mm.
Damn, I get such a reaction when I think I'm being lectured by my father. I've been working on this for fucking 40 goddamn years. Whenever I hear a masculine that has anything remotely resembling mansplaining, I lose my shit. I'm really sorry, Jochen. I could not pay attention to anything you were saying because I'm wrestling with this little asshole inside of me.
Mm.
And all he wants to do is just shove a hot poker up your ass. It's amazing that I hated my father this much.
Okay, I'm gonna attempt to do that in a straightforward way. Jochen, when I hear you explaining your thought process, I make up that you're trying to like preempt being made wrong. Okay. Tell me
You
what.
started off great. You pointed to the evidence. Then you made inferences about what was creating. You
Well,
have
yeah, but I was going to
no
bring it back to me
idea.
because that's my old
No.
pattern.
Then you start with my pattern beliefs.
Okay.
That. You front loaded.
When I'm playing it safe, I have a pattern of wanting to articulate my thought process in a way that will preempt people from making me wrong.
You're still pointing at him. You know that. Do you know that, Josh? You're still describing
I understand that I'm making it about me, but it's about something that happened in the space. Therefore, yes.
It's him. You're saying that you do this too.
Yes.
Instead of making it about your kid and your dad,
Well,
you're describing the behavior that you do and the inferences that he's doing it too.
okay, so then I just out why I play it safe?
No, you just tell him what your inner child bullshit is about. Your emotionality.
Frustration. I'm frustrated that something I don't find juicier is happening.
Not I, my kid.
My kid. My kid is
God damn,
frustrated that he's not getting his favorite lollipop.
My kid is so fucking hooked on emotions that when people start talking intellectually, I don't care whether it's man, woman, child, even your freaking dog. When they start talking intellectually, I start redlining. I think it's because I don't think I'm smart enough to compete in a meaningful way. I think that's the root of it. You're trying your damnedest to share yourself and not make it about them. Not to tell them what you think is happening inside their head. We all love to be experts.
Mm.
We all like to be important because we're going to show how we can understand somebody better than they can understand themselves. God knows how many times we did that with our parents.
Mm-hmm. I am more engaged when I can make something about me. And I had a hard time making what was happening about me or useful to me.
Because you were hogging the fucking spotlight, Jochen. You were making it all about you.
Well, you're pointing at him. You just told me not to point at him.
That's what your little bit just translates to.
Oh, okay.
You have this thing about making it about them and their shortcomings.
Uh-huh.
Stop it. if you can't find a way for them to want to engage carnally, in a carnal way with you,
Uh-huh.
okay, that isn't based upon your analytical abilities, it's not gonna last. You want them dancing with you because of the spice that you bring, not the intellect.
And I make the spices about me.
Yes. I love it. Like, Gray, I think I hear you saying this, but you're really fucked up if you are saying this. You want me to bring the spice, make the spice about me? That's fucked up. I'm not doing that.
I'm struggling to even like. I think there's
Yep.
like boxes like my box is like nope, it's a dead end. See, clearly he mispointed you.
So Josh, this is like the 1.5 versus 7.5.
Okay.
This is tremendous opportunity.
Okay.
And you know, because you're looking around, looking for direction, and all you got is blank walls. That's a really good sign. Okay, Alton, can I go play Skyrim?
One last sentence to cap this to try on in my life. This was great.
Or what?
How I could support Joshness, how I could support myself in taking this on more. I mean,
Josh, you know what? It scares me to think that I'm even further gone than you are. So why don't we practice this? Okay, we're gonna be wing people for each other, and we're gonna come up with some kind of exercise or some kind of reveal, and we're gonna watch each other do this. Maybe we can sneakily record
to reveal the making it about us,
it. Yeah.
about situations in general, and to be in the listening for that for each other is how I'm gonna
Yes.
read it.
You're doing the adolescent masculine thing about making it about me, I. Josh does it by making it about them. And Alton says, everything that I like is the most important thing in my work.
Now I'm not sure I understand how to parse that.
Good. That's why you have Josh as a partner. You guys are bookends. He makes it about other people, and you make it about yourself.
And you want
Wait,
to
that's our practice?
you want us to practice the inverse?
That would be helpful.
I accept. Okay, all right. I'm gonna.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
So I
Great.
practice revealing thing. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Craig.
Oops. I got people calling me. I gotta go.
Bye-bye.
Ah.
But really, just between us, Josh, if ever you want to say,
Wait,
shut
it's not
up,
just
you're
between us.
boring. Well, I mean, like between us and the recording.
It's still live stream. Just do.
Yeah, I know. I get that. I can
He's
see
using-
custom live streaming service.
Unprecise.
Okay, just want sometimes people are like, "Oh, I was surprised." I'm like, "What? Are you kidding me?" I just
But forgetting about everyone else who might be listening, just between you and me, including in front of an audience, you can always tell me, you know what, Jochen, just shut the fuck up. This is boring me. That's totally fine. I will not come over and rip your head off, not only because I can't, but I won't.
Yeah, what's the I don't think the consequence is so much in like with you precisely, more with the damage I would incur by not appearing the way I think I should. There's like some kind of damage to like if I'm unsafe and it's not entertaining.
Who do you trust? Who do you trust in your life to give you feedback on how they want you to appear? Like ask the 5 people who you think are your closest friends. Hey, I was on a Zoom call with this guy. I was live streaming.
Wait, why do I want their opinion?
because they can, that's a reality check, because like, how do you know that?
How does
the
what other
self-image that
people
you
want
have-
from me a reality check? Isn't that an opinion test or a taste test?
Sure, but maybe like the expectation that you have of yourself is actually not good for you. How do you know that the expectation that you have is good for you? How do you know that?
Well, historically, people hold on, making it about others. I know it's good for me because it keep me safe.
Yeah, but maybe that's not true. And that's why I'm telling you. Like if the other
Right.
people told you, hey, actually we would like you way more if you told this guy on the Zoom call,
Right,
yeah,
but-
shut the fuck up. Then how would that not keep you even safer?
It seems to me that you have an assertion and you want me to agree with it.
I know I'm trying to really logically check this out. Like I really like
It-
where's the logic? Where's the logic? That
The logic, okay, the logic is that when something has worked historically and continues to work, then it works.
And does it actually work? Does it work? Would you
It
say
100% works at keeping playing it safe. Almost 100% of the time works. There are times when like playing it safe is stupid. You could argue that it's slowly killing me. There are different angles here on how safe isn't safe, but
because I'm like if it's absolutely working, then why would you even want to change anything?
we,
If whatever you're doing right now is absolutely working, why change it? Why change a working system?
How do I not make this about you? I like better conversations.
Yeah, but then it's not working.
How do
I mean, it's either working or it's not working. I don't. That
it
I don't
occurs to me that you have a
understand.
point and you're holding on to it and you want to like beat me over the head until I agree with you.
I want you to make a decision. Whatever it is,
I-
you really, it's
At what point did you ask me to make a decision? Because it seems like you're telling me to do things that you're telling me to do.
which Craig does with people all the time. Only you
I don't care if
complain
Craig
about
does it. You're doing it right now, and you're trying to say you're doing something different. And I want to know what's blinding you.
Is something blinding me?
It's like with Alta when you were claiming to be curious. Well, I don't need to have that. But you're saying that you're doing one thing, but your actions are another thing.
I think I'm indeed impatient. Yeah, there's an impatience of like,
Yeah.
because I hear you make assertions, but then when I try to probe them, I don't really, they seem not to make a lot of sense to me. And I'm like, so what is it? Because I feel the confusion and there's some irritation there. Totally.
Yeah. I like
But
it.
I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm really trying to understand. So what is it? Is it working or is it not working? And I don't know.
You can't. How can you try to understand if you're in my world? If I am irritated, I am not looking for understanding. I'm looking for an outcome to change. I'm looking for circumstances to change. Then it might be different for you.
No, I have lots of situations where even just like with things, I want to try figure something out. I want to figure out how to open something, and I don't know where the screws are, and I'm getting very irritated.
Right. The outcome is you want to open the thing.
Yeah, I want to understand. I want to figure out what is going on here. I want to
Okay.
figure something out.
So
But it's not that I want to necessarily kind of, I just want to see something. I want to
You-
see something, yes.
can you imagine talking to somebody that's only interested in figuring you out and understanding?
Sometimes people do that with me. Yeah, and totally, I can see that they want to understand something about me, and if they don't understand it, it's just like, what is going on for you? And they're confused, and it's just not a very pleasant state. My guess is, for instance, Alton, that if
have
you
you ever
fully
interfaced
understand,
with somebody who is only interested in trying to understand you, and that's like the primary driver behind the interaction? What did you say in response to?
yeah, that happens.
What's the texture of that like for you?
I think it depends. If I don't know myself what's going on, I'm feeling annoyed too, but it's mostly because I'm annoyed that I don't know.
So like a love language for you is to understand.
Uh,
Or I make up there's some
would-
like
I
lot of
would say,
conjecture.
I would at least say that for me, it's just like part of my energetic expression that I really love to understand things. Yes, I mean, not to the point I think where I want to take a hammer and break it apart so that it cannot be put back together, but like, yeah, I like to take things apart. Yeah, I do.
How do you
Like
feel
if-
about the frame that understanding is a booby prize?
Sorry, my husband is just like 5 minutes. Come again? How long? No, the how long was there. What were you saying?
How do you relate to the phrase understanding is the booby prize?
Is the
Booby prize. It's like the runner up.
to what's the other prize?
It's a
So
koan.
that's second prize. What's the first? Sorry?
The
Sorry?
koan.
To-
I
to-
don't answer it for you. The koan is you have to answer it yourself.
No, I don't feel that way. I feel often very satisfied just understanding things. That's extremely satisfying to me.
And I would assert that it's like high school sex that would then have you later realize like, oh my God, I thought understanding was the thing, or I thought high school sex was the thing.
Mhm.
But actually,
And I actually, yeah, like since I don't know exactly what would put there, I mean, there's
that's all.
definitely
I'm just inviting an inquiry. I make up that.
there's definitely situations where understanding is not the prize. Like it could be beauty or yeah, like sensual pleasure, like whatever, right? Not in every situation, but like there are situations where understanding for me is totally like top of the list. And I know other people who, yeah, I think feel that way too. So I don't. But I totally.
If
I
I
totally
achieved
understand.
understanding, I would want to do something with it. I'd want to create something or impact someone or
Oh yeah, maybe at some point later on, but it's not like right away. Because like seriously, I also don't think that if I understood this one little thing about you, that there would be anything that I could or should do with that right away anyway. Like seriously. Because like, oh my goodness, there's like 5,000 things to understand in a situation before I even remotely think about doing something. I mean, seriously. You can screw things up so easily.
These are a lot of away frames. What do you like? How do you know when you can die in peace?
Wait, oh, I could die in, like I had a colonoscopy a couple weeks ago and I could have died in peace that day. Like I created a list of passwords for my husband and said like, here's that. And if that's it, that's it. It was great. Totally fine.
Okay. So is there a moment that just before you understand something that all of you is really invested in really understanding it, that you could like choose to die into those moments and not have to?
Well, if I were to die, it would be okay. But like if I'm not dying, I'm still curious about it. I mean, curiosity, like this wanting to see behind a corner. It's just like literally there's a corner and I want to know what's behind that corner. It's not that I necessarily want to then like take whatever is behind the corner and beat it up or something. I'm just literally curious. What is behind the corner? What is there? It's a very strong drive for me personally.
Have you ever experienced things that you can't see by looking at it directly?
I would say most things that I'm interested in are very hard to see, certainly with my eyes.
I mean, like, and the
Yes.
harder you try, like an orgasm, like the more difficult it might be to actually.
Yes, but I would say that is like that's no longer particularly curious because I've had a few in my life. So I would at least say, I mean, maybe like for the first time or something, but but I guess that's also, Josh, why I said, you know, if you say, hey, stop that, that is kind of not good for me. I welcome that. That is to say, I will certainly put out, hey, I'm really curious. But if the other person says like, yeah, but you don't get to see that, then I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's my point. And I was always welcome if someone tells me that's the direction I don't want to go into. I don't want to look behind that corner.
What are you like rummaging around for? Like,
I'm uncertain what you were curious about.
About Alton? Or about you?
About me.
So I got the impression that you said, and I'm very now like aware, that I told my husband about 5 minutes ago.
Oh, that's
right, okay.
Well, I
So,
appreciate it.
and did you just answer that question? Maybe just to stay with you, Josh. I heard you say something like two things that I just don't know how to combine, and so that they make a picture without kind of very strange lines in the picture. That safety kind of works, and that you wouldn't want to ask other people about their opinion, because what really matters is your experience that it works. But that at the same time, you're saying you would want to have more interesting conversations. And I would at least assume that if you...
Could you just clearly illustrate the two conflicting thoughts?
Yeah. I would at least say, given that my hunch is you're not trying to have more interesting conversations just like since the last week, but it's been a while. And so it seems to me that you are...
Sorry, conflicting thought A and thought B. Which one? I'm not sure what's conflicting.
Yeah. So, okay. So the thought that I want something different, and I've been trying this for a while, and I'm not, and I don't want to hear other people's opinion about what they think, how I might change things around my safety to have those things that I want to be different. Because I think other people could tell you a lot of
Right,
how you could change your safety for you to have more
I
interesting
think what happened for
conversations.
me here is that you made an assumption that I've been like
all
trying
the
and
time.
failing at something. And then you tried to present that as curiosity when you were making an implicit assertion about me.
Yeah, I
Didn't
always
land.
have to make assumptions. Yeah, that's something that
Yeah.
I will
and
never I will never get over. I will
Let's
never get
see.
over that one.
Everything
Well,
I
let's-
experienced made sense to me.
Yeah, I do not doubt that in the slightest, Josh. I do not doubt that in the slightest. That is just, like, seriously, like it would be that would be terrifying if it didn't make sense to you. Seriously, that would be mental illness. If your own experience didn't make sense to you, that's see an expert.
Oh.
Okay, so where do you guys want to go with this? I know you want
Oh,
Yeah.
Josh, I love you. If ever you feel like picking this up separately, I think we're already in some Facebook group together, or like something somewhere. I think we're somewhere. You can always reach out, or but that's the thing. I think my curiosity, once this call ends, is like, this is one of those things that I will not find out today, and maybe never, which is fine.
Okay. If I was trying to recreate your curiosity, it seems like you believe I'm doing something that's contradictory, and you're curious why.
It's
Like
like,
you believe I'm blocking my own path to the solution.
yeah, it's
How do I make it about me? I believe all of that.
I think the curiosity is bigger than you, because I think a lot of people have
Okay.
very similar kinds of
Yeah.
patterns where I see them make claims that just don't make sense to me. And if I could figure it out with you, maybe it would make more sense to me. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It's just like, I wish I was a firefighter. And every time that they see a fire truck, they want to hide. I'm just like, what is going
And the
on
way to
here?
become a firefighter, oh God. Do I want to indulge this?
Yeah, experiences like this occurs to me as indulging a hungry ghost, and I feel trapped.
Okay. In that case,
Make up you.
I'll let you guys go,
Yeah.
because I want to go anyway.
This was an interesting dance. I feel some degree of appreciation.
Well, it's better than nothing, I guess. I'll take it.
Hungry ghost.
I got more than I thought I would have out of you not dying midway through the call.
Yeah, that's I appreciate I appreciate you saying that, man. Have a good afternoon, guys.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
I think I got something out of this dance.
Yeah,
Maybe the
well,
opportunity
what-
cost
what-
was not.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if the silver lining is actually overshadows the main. like,
Okay. I will endeavor to make my spice harder and more dominant.
It just occurred to me that it's just more of the same. And
Yeah.
I still love it. But that
Yeah.
the like if someone's head actually exploded on live stream, you would say that you would not have gotten more out of that versus talking back and forth more about something that felt confusing that you identified as saying, I don't know if I want to indulge this.
I got to practice. That's what I got. I got to like try to make it about me.
Yeah.
I got like it was so tempting for me to make him wrong.
Yes.
And
It did seem like that. And I was like really fascinated by that too.
and I got some reps in that, and maybe I did a little wrong making, but I also got some reps in.
It
And
did. It occurred to me that it was seeping out through your words. I gotta make this about you. You delight me with all the different versions of you that seem to surface on these calls.
I feel strawberries hearing that.
Feel bashful? Your cheeks feel like flesh with strawberry color?
I feel like some degree of delight, but not like overly delighted. And there's like some bitterness at the end if I swallow the whole thing.
Strawberries are bitter. You swallow
The
one?
green part of the strawberry is bitter,
It's been a long time.
but it's perfectly healthy. But it's
Like it's
just
not.
more. It's much more bitter than the strawberry itself.
Fiber. Got it. Yes, guys. Yeah, that was definitely a high delta stream today. Definitely slower. It was definitely different. Well, sometimes that happens.
I feel encouraged. I had to make that spicy somehow.
And the practice for me is to make it about you. You viewers. You Josh. You future Alton. Right. Too soon.